The quantity supplied is the amount of a good that producers would be willing and able to sell in a given time period if the consumers are willing and able to purchase an infinite amount. It's the number of times producers would be willing to accept money put on the table by consumers and, quote, give them another one. Students often think the quantity supplied is infinite. They think that a producer would always sell to a consumer if the consumer is willing to pay the price. Here's a couple of examples from the fast food restaurant industry that proves that the quantity supplied is not infinite. Have you ever been to a fast food restaurant during rush hour at lunchtime and seen a long, long line? Said to yourself, this is going to be too long. I'm going to go someplace else. It happens. The McDonald's and the Burger Kings of the world know that it happens, and that they could, if they reduce the lines, actually sell more hamburgers. They could reduce the lines by hiring more wait staff or adding more cash registers. However, they made a decision it's not worth it to them to add the wait staff or the cash registers because the extra revenue they would receive from selling a few extra hamburgers is less than the extra cost they would incur by paying more for wait staff and cash registers. They've decided the quantity supplied is not infinite. They are not going to sell hamburgers at some point, even though they would have willing buyers. Another example is late night activities of these restaurants. Most of them are not open all night. Would a McDonald's, for instance, sell hamburgers if it was open from 3 to 4? The answer is yes. There are people driving around late at night who are willing to pay the price for hamburger and would buy hamburgers from McDonald's if it was open. McDonald's has made the decision not to sell hamburgers to those people. The quantity supplied is zero. It's not infinite. The reason the quantity supplied is zero is they recognize or they anticipate that the revenue they would receive from the people buying hamburgers from 3 to 4 is less than the cost they would incur by staying open from 3 to 4. The quantity supplied is going to be determined by the revenues that the producers think they'll receive, and which is determined by price, and the cost they will expect to incur if they sell. The quantity supplied increases as price increases and decreases as price decreases when other non-price determinants of the quantity supplied remain constant. This means that if price increases and the change in price is the only thing that affects producers, the quantity supplied increases. On the other hand, if price decreases and all else is equal, then the quantity supplied decreases. This direct relationship between the price of the good and the quantity supplied when all else is equal is called the law of supply. The relationship between the price of a good and the quantity supplied is direct because rational people respond predictably to incentives. As the price of the good increases, the profitability of selling the good increases. Producers want to sell more when profits are high than when profits are low. Producers will work longer hours and pay more for inputs when the price they receive for their output increases. The supply curve plots the relationship between price and the quantity supplied when all else is equal. The graph measures the price of the good on the vertical axis and the quantity supplied on the horizontal axis. The horizontal distance to a point in the curve is the quantity supplied at that price, and the vertical distance is the lowest price producers will accept to produce the last unit. For example, point A in the figure shows that the quantity supplied is 50 when price is 8. Here's price of 8, and we go across to point A. That horizontal distance is the quantity supplied when price is 8. It also shows that if we want producers to sell 50 units, we've got to pay them that vertical distance up to point A, which is $8. We've got to pay them $8 more to increase output from 49 to 50. The vertical distance shows the lowest price consumers must pay to get producers to make that last unit, to get producers to go from 49 to 50. As price increases and all else remains constant, producers move up and to the right along the supply curve. Since producers are moving up and to the right, the quantity supplied increases. As price decreases and all else remains constant, producers move down and to the left along the supply curve. Since producers are moving to the left on the supply curve as price decreases, the quantity supplied decreases. The figure shows the quantity supplied increases from 50 to 60 when price goes from 8 to 9, because we're going to move from point A on the supply curve up to point B on the supply curve.